Welcome to the platform, a monthly event by Move where we celebrate culture movers across various industries. And today we are going to be having a chat with Aisha on our latest release, Funerals and Firecrackers. So
Yeah.
we just get right into the discussion. To start with, we'd like Aisha to give us a brief overview of the collection, Funerals
Mm.
and Firecrackers. Yeah, let's start with introduction.
Um, how do I even start from all this? Okay. So my debut collection of short stories. Uh, just they're all just like how do I? I'm trying to find the words.
It's
Literally,
fine.
each characters are from because from my experience from being in Nigeria to coming to the UK, and I wouldn't even say that my experience is that bad, but I've heard about people and their terrible experiences. So when I was writing my collection of short stories, I was thinking, okay, what is something that can make everybody feel like, relatable? Nigerians coming to the UK in search of the greener pastures. So that's what I made the forefront of my book, the web of different kind of traumas, the heartaches, the craziness that we face, from moving from our lovely home to a whole different country. And we just get to see that people are just dealing with a lot of things in the Eden, I guess. But yeah, I hope that answers the question though.
Okay, yeah, that sets the pace for the discussion. I believe as we move into the main discussion, we get more insights into the stories that make up the collection.
Hopefully I find
We
my
can
voice.
All right. Would like you to take a snippet from any of the stories, any one of your choice. Just read
Okay.
a couple of minutes. Let's get a feel of what we're about to discuss this
Okay.
evening.
So I'll read from one of my favorite stories there, which I would say the main character is somewhat like myself. So this is titled The Oddity. Um,
Mm.
yeah, I know, right? So, The Oddity. Who sleeps
Mhm.
at night and draws out moans instead of snores, waking up with a soaked panty as though they had romped with a man all night. That's me. I moved to the UK from Nigeria 3 months ago, and this started 2 months into that, in a place where I have no one to talk to about it, leaving me constantly consumed with paranoia that took up permanent residence in my psyche. In my job, I take care of mentally challenged people. I see the stigmatization. I administer their medication. I do not wish any of it on myself. So I dare not bring my problem up with my GP. The internet offered little help at first, but soon I stumbled on Nera Land and found a deluge of stories that were exactly like mine. They called it Okonru or Spirit Husband. So in the early hours of last Thursday, when I drove a pocket knife I had hidden under my pillow into the side of my assailant, for me, I had finally slain my Okonru. But here in this stark fluorescent lit interview room that smells faintly of disinfectant and stale coffee, the lady investigator sitting across from me says that I have actually killed a Martin King, a white British father with three children and a wife, and I am schizophrenic, as in mad. The room is small, painted a dull institutional grey. The only other furniture is a metal table and two uncomfortable chairs. Outside, I can hear the distant hum of city traffic, a world away from the spiritual battle I just fought. The investigator, a middle aged white woman with a perpetually pursed expression and furrowed brow, leans forward, a pen paused over a notepad, her gaze fixed on me with a mixture of pity and suspicion. The more I tried to tell her that what I killed is not even human, that it was my spiritual husband, whom I was defending myself from, the more she repeats with a dismissive wave of her hand and a voice laced with condescending sympathy that I have schizophrenia. I need a mental health assessment. Anytime a black woman talks about spiritual things, it is immediately dismissed as madness. They never understand. They can't. They don't see the things we see, the things we have to fight. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much. That was interesting. I wish we'd read more of it. I was actually waiting for you to read more, but then I feel I have to make do with what we have already. So thank you so much for
No
that
worries.
insight into the collection.
I know you.
I think
I know you're probably like, oh my god, okay, Okorun. Hey, what did you get into?
but actually, I had that thought while I was reading it. I was wondering, okay, where is this going to lead to? Because that's
Yeah.
actually how it works. Only the
Mhm.
victim gets to actually experience that. Other people, they
Exactly.
can't fathom that. Okay, what do you mean by Okon? What's all that? So
Mm-hmm,
I,
mm-hmm,
I had that
mm-hmm,
thought while I was while I was reading that particular story. I think I would like to kickstart this by asking about your teams. Yeah, the collection has a varied number of teams and all of that. So, what inspired those teams? Why do we have stories revolving around those particular teams?
so the theme of the old book is grief, sorrow, pain, which is not good. It's not the best because obviously we are told to always try to remain positive. But from my own little experience, from having a loss at a very young age, losing my mom, to trying to literally find myself, to I don't know, just being a young girl having to grow up way before our time, then to move into the UK. I would say that I had a very good support system, but from working, because I work in a mental health field, because I've always wanted to be in the mental health field, I've gotten to understand and realize that not everybody comes back from certain traumas they face. Not everybody is triumphant, because obviously people go through their own little traumas, little grief, and we all try to, like, be positive, come out of it. But realistically, not everybody is able to. And I think there's like a kind of stigma, probably not, but there's a kind of stigma that people can't talk about the fact that, oh, I'm depressed, but and I can't just get better. So I just wanted to like shed light on the fact that it's okay if you're traumatized and you're not finding your way out of it. You're seeing it's not just you. It's not just about, oh, 2 years later or a few months later I'm better. It doesn't work that way, if that makes any sense. So yeah, just wanted to shed more light on the other side of going through your own trauma and your own demons, basically. So yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think that sets the pace for my next question, or what I would have talked about next. Yeah,
Okay.
because I also noticed that a dominant theme or a dominant narrative in the
Mm-hmm.
collection has to do with situations surrounding grief and
Mm-hmm.
trauma and
Yeah.
coping with it in our individual ways. So I think
Yes.
one of the things I love about the collection is the fact that there are no it's not a one-way traffic that okay, this is the way you should actually handle circumstances like this.
Yes.
I,
Mm-hmm.
I I love the varied expressions of
Mm-hmm.
coping with it, especially moths and fireflies.
Yes.
It's ordinarily, I mean, what takes 3 years just to before you now start getting the reality or the
Mm-hmm.
graffiti what's occurred. So
Yeah.
that was actually I feel it gives us a window into how things actually ought to be. We shouldn't just be boxed
Exactly.
into okay, society says if anything happens, just react
Mm-hmm.
immediately and let it
Thank
go.
you.
But then
Exactly.
it doesn't
Exactly.
work that way for everyone. So we shouldn't
Doesn't.
just put
Doesn't.
ourselves inside our box. So
Mm-hmm.
let me just ask this before we leave the aspect of the team.
Okay.
Speaking about grief and trauma, you also mentioned being in the mental health field. I actually wanted to ask about that because I did a bit of digging around and I saw that. So would you say that that influenced your
Oh, it did.
perspective? on how grief and trauma should be handled. So let me
Um,
add my second question so that I can do
okay,
it together.
okay,
It
okay.
before you ventured into the field of mental health and the
Mm.
likes, did you have a different opinion on grief, on trauma, on handling them? And did that opinion change after you ventured into the field of mental health?
Okay, I'll answer this as best as I can.
Okay,
Um,
I will
so
see.
honestly, I think my experience, because I worked in the psychiatric ward in NHA in Abuja. I think that one had more of an effect because obviously I could relate more with the patient. I saw a lot of things. Oh my god, I saw a lot of things. And one thing that stuck with me was the fact that a lot of people that came, and obviously they came to see the doctor to try and get better, no matter how much the doctors tried to either explain, some of them were just not budging on wanting to get better. Some of them were just adamant on the fact that I'm seeing things or I'm hearing voices or whatever. Then we also had some patients that they came maybe like after a year for review and they were literally still the same way. So obviously me working there, because what I had in my mind was, oh, I'm going to a psychiatric ward. I'm probably going to see miracles being performed. Maybe I should even start therapy, that kind of thing. But when I actually got to see that people literally get stuck in that bubble for almost all their life, I was like, okay, yeah, life is not how they make it seem. Then obviously coming to the UK, I can't say I really relate much with them because they're just so different from me. They're like so different from us. They are always made to feel like you shouldn't even really fight for sanity, if that makes any kind of sense, because they just give you tablets, they give you different plants and different things to just like, just cocoon you in that little bubble that you are. So I would say my experience, which I had in Nigeria, had more of an effect in my mindset of the fact that it's not always how it seems in the movies and what we think. They're actually a completely different factor into like people that deal with mental health situations. So yeah, I would say it definitely had an effect on my mindset.
Okay, thank you for that insight. So I think that explains some of the technicalities that we had to play in some of the stories.
Yeah.
And before we leave that aspect, I would like to ask something else. Now, being in that field, seeing how different people react to the situations and
Mm-hmm.
how they've had to cope with it in their individual realities, would you
Mm-hmm.
say there is a link between grief, trauma, and certain mental condition, like mental health conditions? Is there a link between them? Something like that.
I mean, I think, yeah, because I think some grief you go through, like you probably like losing somebody that is really dear to you can just unlock some certain madness in your psyche. And I've seen that from when I was in NHA, we had like this lady that came, and I've seen her before, like when I newly started. She was like just a normal person, basically. So just like me, she also like lost her mom, and a week or two after, she came back and she was a completely different person. In movies when you see people with multiple personality disorder, that was what it felt like. She was definitely different. So yeah, like in one of my stories, the typewriter, the main lead, she loses her husband. Normally, not normally, but a lot of times when people lose somebody, you just expect to like, okay, you've lost this person, time to move on. But this person just couldn't move on and she became suicidal. So yeah, there's a level of grief you are going to face, and it might unlock something in you. Not everybody's able to like come out of that phase of grief or pain. Sometimes you just can't deal with it. So there's definitely a link with them.
Thank you so much. I think that explains some of the scenarios we see play out in the society.
Mm-hmm.
Someone would just be fine, and then something would happen, and they won't be able to get over it. And we don't
Mm-mm.
even give it the attention it deserves. We feel like, what's there? Is it
Exactly.
not someone that dies? People die every day, and
Mm-hmm.
everyone just keep going about with shattered mental health.
Yes.
So I just really hope people can get to read stories like this and get to see that some of these things that we think are abnormal, they are actually right, and we just need to cope with them in the
Exactly.
right way.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay, so this welcome to everyone just joining us. We are discussing Funerals and Firecrackers by Aisha Adesanya. So sit back and just enjoy the evening with us. Let me take a quick one into the characters now. Now I'm quite invested in this. Now, before I go to my questions, I will just speak a bit on some of the characters that
Okay.
let me say I was rooting for. Now, when I read Peju's story, I
Mm-hmm.
was rooting for okay, I mean the typical hustling person trying to
Mm-hmm.
get a better life and all of that. But I never expected that ending. Like in all the thinking, okay, what could happen, could come in. I never expected that ending, and I think I like that there was that switch at the end that, oh, did this just happen? Then
Mm-hmm.
there are a lot of the characters. Let me just say, all of the characters are quite relatable. I mean,
Yeah.
you could get to know their emotions, get to
Mm-hmm.
actually think in their head that, okay, this is why they are behaving this way, or why they are actually taking these actions. Now that will
Mm-hmm.
now lead me to my question that these stories, this collection, were they
Mm-hmm.
inspired by real life events, or they just were they inspired by any real life occurrences or situations? Any of them?
I think one or two were inspired by real life events. I think yeah, one or two. The first one that was inspired by real life events is typewriter. But obviously it's fictionalized, so it wasn't like deeply, but yeah, from a few things that I experienced, it was inspired. Then Fugue as well, that one was heavily inspired by, but not the gory part, not the gory part, because that would scare me. Just like the structure was inspired by something that I had experienced as well. But I think the other stories are just more inspired by feelings that I felt, things that I've seen, rather than things that I've experienced. If that makes any sense, they're just more inspired by like feelings. So yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you. I think that explains the intensity behind them now.
Mhm.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that. Okay, I think before leaving characters,
Mhm.
there's another character that quite that struck a chord with me, and that
Okay.
would be Kemi. So the way, like, I feel a lot of people
Yes.
are actually in that shoe, right? We wake up every day, we do our normal stores, we live our
Mhm.
normal life, but outside all those dramas, a lot is actually going
Happening.
going on.
Yes.
And I think we actually need orientation, like we need people to put a spotlight on
Mhm.
situations like this, because even amongst young people, we are even like, there are a lot of young people who are in that same situation that Kemi was, and
Mhm.
nobody would do anything, and we
Yeah.
just keep losing bright minds and the
Mhm.
like. So
Mhm.
kudos on your characters. I
Thank
think I love them. I'm in love with quite a number of them, and that would not that would not permit us to actually talk about each and every one of them, because we'll not
Mhm.
leave here tonight.
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll
Honestly,
not
yes,
just,
yes.
yeah, thank you. So
No
I'll put a
worries.
pause on the characters now. But I still have another question, still on
Mhm.
this dominant theme.
Okay.
Do you think there is okay? Do you think there is a different way where a child would grieve, and a different way where a young adult would grieve, and a different way where an adult would grieve? Because we see like those different categories of people in the story. So now
Mhm.
in real life scenarios, now given your background in the mental health field, do you
Mhm.
think there is a connection between the way we react to grief, the
Mhm.
graffiti it holds in our hearts, and
Mhm.
like our age, our age, our positions, and all of that. Is there a link between those
Yeah.
categories?
Uh,
Okay.
from my experience and from my knowledge, and personally, I feel like for young adults, for example, or let me even for young adults, I feel like there are some kind of grief or some kind of situations you might find yourself that actually just makes you just have to like grow way before your age, in order like your body your mental health, or no, your psyche just goes beyond what it's supposed to be able to like adapt to that situation, if that makes any sense. Like me, for example, when I lost my mom, I was just 13. Obviously I was still very young. I didn't know how to manage all of that situation. So I think for a normal child or a young person, they're probably just going to like be confused and probably just lash out, or probably just go into like this isolation, anything like that. But for me, I was kind of like forced and triggered into growing before my age, just so that I could manage that situation that I found myself. So I would say it depends on the person as well. Some adults might go through some griefs and they literally just become babies, and like me now, I'm a child going through grief and I had to become an adult. So I think it's just depending on the level of the grief and your person as well. So yeah, I wouldn't really put it into like a cage, because it can be anything. It can literally be anything. So yeah, yeah, yeah.
Okay, thanks for that. Thanks for that. Still
Mm-hmm.
on the subject of grief and trauma and all of that. Do you think there are things that can help to lessen the effects of that trauma? Okay, now there are like let's say there are like two school of thoughts. One
Mm-hmm.
believes that okay, if you are going through this phase, there are certain things that can help you go through it and just help you to keep your head above the waters. And
Mm-hmm.
then there's another school of thought that says it has to just take its course no matter what you do, even if you like do all the therapy and everything in the world, time
Yeah.
just has to take its course. So
Mm-hmm.
what would you say on this? Do you think there are things that can actually help to lessen the gravity of the trauma we are going through, or we just have to let time
Well,
heal always?
for me, I'm still finding that solution. But I would say what has really helped, what has like really, really actually kept me like above the water, is the support system. I've had a very good support system, and also finding writing has been immensely like good for me. But I think because my sister always tells me that, Aisha, you need therapy. I refuse to go to that therapy because I'm like, I don't want to unlock different things, so I'm good. But what has been actually therapeutic for me is the family that I have. Not all my families are like people that were given birth to by my mom and dad. Like outside parties that just come into being part of your community. So I think for me, or what I think my help is just having a support system. I'm sure there are many other ways, but I'm still yet to discover. I'm still, like you said, I'm still taking it one step at a time. So yeah, support system. Just some people draw and they use that to express like what they feel. I write like in all my stories, you would feel every emotions. The gore in each of them were like what I was feeling. So I think you just have to like find a way of like just letting out those feelings, and probably therapy. I don't think therapy is a bad choice as well. It's not talked about a lot, especially from where we're from. But I think being in the UK, it's like a very important thing. And from what I've like seen from people I work with, I think that should also start being talked more about. So yeah.
Okay, yeah, therapy. That's actually a good option. I mean, it has helped a lot of people because sometimes what you just need is just talk about it, just let it out, and that is what therapy provides. It gives that platform that okay, you're safe here, just talk about it.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, in this part of the world, it's not
Yeah.
giving that much priority.
Exactly.
I was just thinking
Exactly.
widely when I was reading Kemi's story that what
Mm-hmm.
if they like the kind of support system they had where after coming out you have a group of people, you guys talk about it together, and
Mm-hmm.
even if you are lapsing back, they are always
Mm-hmm.
there to keep you on track. But I don't
Yeah.
think we have that in this side of the world. So
Honestly,
yes, again,
I
we
even
just
feel
need to
like
just take more.
sometimes, like for example, Kemi, for example, right? I would say she had friends, right? She had a sort of support system. Or let me not even use Kemi. So people actually do have support system. They have friends. They have a whole village, like they always say. But sometimes it's just not enough. Or sometimes we've probably gone so deep into our own problems that no matter how many people we have surrounding us, shouting our name to help us, yeah, it's just too late. So at the end of the day, it's you can't really fit it into a box. It's just very wild. Like it's different for everybody, if that makes any sense. So yeah.
Of course, makes a whole lot of sense. Grief is
Mm-hmm.
quite different for everyone, like you say.
Mm-hmm.
In a family whereby maybe they lost someone, the way everyone would react to it would be different. So you just point out to our individual peculiarities, and I
Yeah.
think they play out
Exactly.
more in situations like this. So
Mm-hmm.
let's talk on another aspect of the story, which is your writing process.
Mm-hmm.
During the process of gathering the 10 stories together, was there any of them that was like the most challenging to write?
I
Maybe in
think
terms of qualities?
I think I think the whole book itself was challenging. Because some people when they write with the snap of a finger. All they have to do is to sit down, start typing, they're done. It takes a long process for me to a point where it might actually start to feel like an assignment rather than leisure. So I think, and I dealt with a lot of writer's block, with a lot of like, oh God, do I really want to keep going? So I think for me, from the beginning, it was like quite hectic because I've never imagined myself to have a book. Like that was far fetched. Short stories gone. It was like I'm trying talk more of a book. So I feel like, but the last story, Fugi, was the heaviest one. That last part, oh god, that one, that one just it had a different effect on me. I don't want to like give out the spoilers or anything, but if you've read it, that one was very heavy because it was like you wouldn't think about it. You wouldn't think that that was like the situation that was about to happen. So yeah, that one felt like personal. I didn't experience it all, but I was able to like put myself in our shoes to like just imagine you believe in this whole world and boom, you just start. Yeah, that one was really, really a heavy one. But yeah.
Okay, yeah. Speaking about Moton's story, just like I said earlier on, that I give it to you for the twist in the story. You
Mm-hmm.
lead us in like direction A, and I just said, I'm so okay. Let me drop at this bus stop now. You take us to the other side, and I really
Yeah.
appreciate that. It takes a whole lot of work. No, when I was
Mm-hmm.
reading that, I was already feeling for and all of that. So
Mm-hmm.
when we now got what eventually, I was like, oh wow, interesting. So I don't want to
Mm-hmm.
give us spoilers, but then that story is one of the interesting ones you can expect
Mm-hmm.
in the collections. And I love the fact that it addresses past trauma, because most
Yeah.
times when we talk about grief, trauma, coping with them, we just talk about the present, what's happening now. But a lot
Mm-hmm.
of times, the what's happening now is like an offshoot of that one that has happened months and years back.
Yes.
So
Yes.
yes, I love that collection. Yeah, I
Mm-hmm.
love the
Mm-hmm.
story. Aha, let's before I move on to my maybe last question, for the
Mm,
sake of people that joined us quite late, I would, and for the fact that I want to enjoy more of the story again, I'd like you to take another short another short excerpt so people that are just joining us, they can know what to expect
mm-hmm.
from the collection. So let's just take out for like 5-10 minutes before we don't
Okay.
wrap up.
Is there any? Do you want
Thank
me to
you.
read anyone in particular?
Anyone in particular? Let me just give you that liberty because if I have to choose, we are going to read
Honestly,
everything.
even for me to choose is hard because it's
Mhm.
like everybody just needs to read
Well, Lord.
everything. But I'll go.
Yeah. Which one are
I'll
we
go through.
reading?
I'll go through one that kind of gives a. It doesn't give you an idea of what the book is about. It throws you off.
Okay, I think we have a suggestion here.
Oh, okay.
Let me check the chat box. Okay, please read Motes and Fireflies. Okay, read
Oh,
that. I love that.
thank you.
Let's
Whoever
read that.
suggested that, thank you because okay. Let me look for that.
Thank you.
Uh, no, see me embarrassing myself now. I can't find moths and fireflies. No. One second. Page 35. Okay. Here we go. All right. Moths and fireflies. The old lantern flame is a magnet for insects, and Antimoji aids them all, especially the moths. Night after night, I watch from behind the long chair as she tries to shoo them away. Unlike the other insects around the flame, many times they pay her no heed, much like the sorry, much like the oblivion of a deaf person to a car's honking. She swears and curses, but it is never enough to attack them with as much venom as she does me. So most nights they end up sleeping there on the ceiling anyway. The bold, brave, milk colored beauties. Long after everyone is asleep, I pile the kitchen stools on the center table to have a closer look at the moths. They never shake nor betray any sign of fear. Many times, one or two would even land on me, like the one on my arm now, shedding some of its milk dust on my skin. I'm transfixed on the pile of stools, save for the rising and falling of my chest. I've never felt as close to anyone as I do with these winged creatures in the time since my parents' death. It happened 3 years ago. I was 9. They had gone to the village for a relative's burial. Uncle Lu should have been with them, but he had exams at the university. I remember him telling me, his voice tight with grief. I didn't yet understand. A car crash. That's all he said. A car crash. They were gone, taken by the very thing they craved but could never afford, a car. The only thing they truly owned was this house, half finished then, just walls and a roof, no windows, no proper floors. It's not much better now, really. The tarpaulin and the dust have just become normal, acceptable. There were no bodies. That's what Uncle Olu told us. The police report, or maybe it was just his own frantic retelling, mentioned a burnt and crumpled Peugeot, a mangled mess of metal, but no bodies. They were gone, vanished. The photos that came back were strange, not of the car itself, but of the scene. And in the corner of one of the photos, near the camera lens, a swarm of moths, blurry and indistinct, but somehow present. It wasn't the wreckage or the blood or the absence of my parents that haunted me. It was those moths. Thank you. I just want to go on, but thank you.
Please, I think we still have more time to spare.
Okay.
You can
All
go
right.
on.
All right.
Thank you.
I remember being taken to the village to live in our family house for the entire year Uncle Olu spent in faraway Kebbi State. He had been posted there for NYC after he graduated from the university. I remember everyone asking why I neither cried nor talked to anyone about my parents' death. I remember Baba Onigege cautioning them that everyone grieves differently. Maybe because he was the only one who had actually seen me cry when at midnight he checked to see if I was sleeping the first couple of days I was there, turning me around on the mat and seeing my face smudged with tears. Still, most people thought I didn't cry, perhaps a little too hard hearted. Uncle Lu must have had the same thoughts because when he came to bring me back to Lagos after his NYSC, it was the first thing he told Auntie Moji, whom I was meeting for the first time. She had already moved into my parents' house and was wearing my mother's wrapper tied around her waist. A strange mix of emotions churned within me. Seeing Auntie Moji in mom's wrapper was unsettling. A pang of loss, sharp and unexpected, pierced through me. It felt like a violation. But there was a flicker of something else, curiosity, a strange detachment. I couldn't quite place it. Atimoji smiled that day, though it was the only one I've ever been lucky enough to receive from her, was warm, welcoming, and utterly at odds with the woman she would become. It's been over a year now, and she's fully settled into her role, a role that seems to involve bullying both Uncle Olu and me. She's the only one who works, the one who brings in the money, and that gives her a certain power. Uncle Luke can't exactly take a stand, and everyone knows how it is when a woman owns the purse strings. They treat their men like, well, like we're treated, less than. The only one who dare to challenge her, to mock her threats, are the moths. They do it in their silent, unsettling way, fluttering around her head, landing on her clothes, a constant, irritating reminder of something. Of what, I'm not sure. But their presence seems to infiltrate her, a tiny buzzing rebellion she can't control. Thank you. Unless you want me to
Right.
go
Thank
again.
you. And don't let us spill the tea too much. Thank
Yeah,
you so much for
don't
this.
worry.
And to our audience, trust me, you can't imagine how that story ended. Like you won't
Mm,
even think you won't think
not
of
at
it. So
all.
once you get your copy, you're going to see how that story ended. Before I move
Mm-mm.
on, we have someone here that is raising up his hand. So Ogatokwe, please, you have the floor.
All right. Apologies. I was trying to unmute myself. So thank you very much for this wonderful collection, Aishat. I think I have two questions. The first question is you were reading a story about Okorun earlier. I'm
Mm,
trying to see. So you were reading a story about Okorun, and I'm just here wondering, um, for people that don't grow up or that didn't grow up in, say, in Yoruba land, may
mhm,
not know what Okorun is about.
mhm,
And the writer, you might also not know a lot about what this entail,
mhm,
especially when you said, only a few of these stories are from personal experience.
mhm,
Just ask that across, the collection and maybe beyond this collection for stories or works that you've, done in the past, how do you deepen your knowledge or how do you write about topics like this, um, I want topics that are deep like this, topics
yeah,
that are not everyday experiences,
mhm,
deepen your knowledge and write
um,
from the perspective of someone that has this experience. So that's
yeah,
the first one. Secondly, going through the collection, I noticed some of the locations that you use, and this might just be outside of the box, but then
mm,
I that sound
mm,
familiar to me. So I wanted to just know if these are based off just reading about them or there are places that you actually really like. You mentioned some places that I know in Ado Ekiti. So I don't know if you lived or you know someone that lived in Ado Ekiti, or maybe they are just like from ASA.
mhm. Nepa will disappoint you, Timileyin. Sorry.
So
Um,
sorry about that.
it's okay.
Don't mind
Um,
them.
So the first question, I would say one thing that really drove me was the need for me to like get people by surprise, if that makes any sense. I just wanted, because I like when I watch, because I'm a movie lover, and I love when I watch movie that has like this very weird twist. So I think that was one of the things that really fueled me. Then a lot of times when I'm out and about or on Instagram or just on social media or hearing my family talk, and I'm listening or I'm looking at these things, I'm reading this thing. So I think the Okonru part just came from not even a Nigerian movie, because obviously in Islam we have these things called jinn, and we believe like a female, you're not supposed to like look at yourself in the mirror for too long, that kind of thing, because of their genes around. So like that gene in our own like culture, we understand it as Okonru. So obviously I saw that dream from like an advert I saw on Instagram, and my imagination just picked that, you know what, you can actually like turn this around. Then I think a lot of the other stories were just from my, like, I think a lot of them are from my feelings. Just I just want to like make that grief factor very heavy, right? So I just used my imagination to like just find different weird scenarios that would just grab people like, why would she think to write that kind of thing? That was one thing that really fueled my imaginations, just the need to like get people by surprise, like something that nobody has probably like really nobody, because honestly some of the stories I felt like that I felt embarrassed to put it out there because it was just too much. But I was like, nah, something has to be done. Like it has to be done. So, and some of them were also from like little experiences I've had here and there, and I just like just factored everything together. Then some of these locations, I've not been to all of them, but I have people that have, like Ado Ekiti now. Mr. Ibrahim there, my mentor is from Ado Ekiti. So I tapped into his own experience there. Abuja, I'm a local from Abuja. That's my main place. So that's I also tapped there, and UK from my own personal experience too. That's where like I also use UK. So yeah. So I just tapped into places that I am familiar with, either from myself or from somebody else. So I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, yes, yes, it does. Thank you very
No
much.
worries, no
Well done.
worries. Thank you.
All right, thank you so much for those questions, and thank you for your adequate answers. So yeah, we are gradually moving to the end of the evening, and it feels like we should still continue.
I know, right? I'm actually enjoying myself so much just talking
Yeah,
about myself.
maybe one of these days we do a sequel to this discussion. Then we can now discuss
Definitely
the
should.
stories in depth.
Honestly, I
For
want to do that
those
so badly. So yes.
you could work on that. For
Mhm,
those that joined us maybe in the middle of the meeting, if you check the chat box, there is a pinned chat where you can sign up to get updates on future editions of the platform, like the deeper edition we're talking about. So once once that's becoming a reality, you can
mhm,
get the updates straight into your inbox. So now let's move on to expectations. So
mhm.
what should readers of Funerals and Firecrackers expect? What should they look out to? What are some of those things that they can be sure to get from the collection once they get a copy?
Uh, I don't think they will expect anything. Honestly, I don't think even I writing the story, I did expect a lot of things I ended up writing. So I would just say when you're reading some of these stories, sit down and relax because your jaw is probably gonna drop. And also don't take it too seriously. Don't like, because I have a friend that read the stories and she was like, oh, this is too dark, Aisha. Are you okay? And I'm like, I'm fine. So please, nobody should think I'm not fine. I am fine. I'm just an imaginative person. So yeah, just enjoy the story and just tap into a different perspective and not just the jolly romantic stories we are always trying to like give ourselves. So yeah, you won't expect anything. Trust me, there's a particular story in my head right now. I wish I could talk about. You will not expect it. So just enjoy the unexpected, basically.
Okay, thank you for that. It's up. Just
Mhm.
to add to what she said, if you are reading the stories, maybe make sure you are not faking something that has some pepper, so you don't be like, what is this? So just relax, get something chilled, a drink. Aha, it can flow better.
It's
Okay,
necessary. It's
so
necessary.
before we wrap up for tonight, does anyone have any question for Aisha? Maybe on the stories, what we've discussed, maybe what you've. I mean, we put out some snippets today. Maybe if anyone had any question on them, or if you even have a question on the dominant theme, grief, trauma, coping with them, helping people to cope with them. So just take the questions within the next 3 4 minutes so we do not overshoot our time.
Mm-hmm.
Does anyone have any question for us? Okay, let's give room for people to ask their questions. Okay, it seems we may not be having any questions, so I will just wrap up with this last one. Now this is on the third party aspect. Now we've talked a lot on how we as individuals can. Okay, sorry, are you saying something, sir? Cyber.
Yeah, I wanted to ask Aisha.
Okay, yeah, please.
I wanted
You
to
have the
ask her.
floor.
Good evening, everyone. I hope we're all doing well. Good evening, Aisha. I wanted to
Good evening.
ask, how does it feel to be a published author? How how has your life changed since publishing your book?
Hmm. Firstly, my shoulder is yeah. I'm being humble, but it's there. But now I feel really proud because, like I said earlier, it wasn't something I ever like imagined I would do, at least not anytime soon. So I feel proud. It gives me like this feeling of like you can actually do whatever you want to do if you just like set your mind. No matter how hard it is, you can accomplish it. So yeah, it's been a good wake up call or a change of reality basically that yeah, this writing thing might actually be my calling. So yeah, it's been good. I feel like even the whole experience has not fully settled in, like maybe until everything packs up for a while. So I'm still like just gradually just taking in all the whole things I'm having to like, walk around having a book out. So yeah, it's been good. It's been good, alhamdulillah. It's been
Um,
good.
Apologies. My question was in two parts. I only asked one. So now that you've answered that one, let me ask the other part. The other part is, they say sometimes the end is actually just the beginning. So before you were a published author, you were writing. Now that you're a published, now that you're a published author, do you see it as an end? Like you finally accomplished something and now you can go and rest. So do you see it as the beginning? And if you see it as the beginning, what should we expect from you next? What are you working on? Where do you see yourself like in the next 5 years?
You see, this man that just asked this question is my mentor, and this question he asked me is always ringing into my head. Just because you've written a book, it doesn't mean you should go and relax. So yes, definitely, I have many drafts opened on my system, and I'm always been encouraged by Mr. Ibrahim to submit. But it's just that to write is not a very easy process, but it's something I'm working on. I don't feel like I've accomplished the world. Oh yeah, let's go and relax. Nah, until we're getting there. So yeah, I'm still putting more works in progress. I'm still going to be putting more things out there and not just let this like old dust settle before doing something else. So yeah, I'm definitely still working. I've not accomplished anything. This is just the beginning for something greater, inshallah. So thank you.
Thank you very much, Aisha. Thank
Thank
you, moderator, and everybody else.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for that contribution. And that's actually like they do say in this part of the country that questions from questions, that kind of a thing. So he
you.
mentioned or having draft open. So that popped a thought in my head. Now this is
Okay.
a collection of five short stories. Should we
Mm-hmm.
expect any one of them to develop into a fluent novel?
I've been asked that question by a
Mm-hmm.
lot of people. I've not thought about it, to be fair. The because the other book I would like to publish is completely out of it. But now that you're
Okay.
saying it, and now that I've had people say it, I think I would probably tap into one of people's favorites and probably
Mm.
develop it. I think a lot of people would like to say, okay, are we going to finally have a happy ending, or is this grief thing?
Yeah.
Aisha, are you done with grief or not? So yeah, I think that's definitely something I would love to play with. Definitely.
Okay, thank you. I'll be on the lookout for that, please. And
Mm-hmm.
as much as maybe it's not something popular in the literary space, please don't do away with writing about these topics because they are topics that we need and there aren't much resources available on it. So please help us to stop writing about them. Before I move on, someone is asking a question, not a question really, on the book title. Okay, so the book title is Funerals and Firecrackers by
Mm-hmm.
Aisha Adesanya. There's a link in the chat box. If you click that, you should get details about the book, the cover and the title. And if you signed up for this event, you should get a link. You should have gotten a link in your mail that also contains more details about the book. I can search for it online. It's live everywhere, and it's going to be coming to bookstores near you in a couple of weeks from now. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
we are running out of time, so we are wrapping up now. I have
Mm-hmm.
just one more question, and it's not for Aisha. Okay, so fortunately on this call, we have the okay, we have the publishing director of the publishing house that actually published the collection. So
Mm-hmm.
I have a question for the director just to bring more perspective into this. We've heard a lot from Aisha and we've gained more insight into the collection and all. I just wanted to ask, I would like to ask the director. Okay, let me phrase my question well now. Okay, I would like to ask the director what was their experience publishing this connection? Okay, before I go with my question, the person is clarifying their question. Okay, so yes, I know the title. I'm so drawn to it. Oh wow! And I wanted to ask what inspired the title. I love me beautiful titles and the why behind them. Interesting. So I share you
Honestly,
Fanny.
I've been waiting for this question. I've been waiting for this
Yeah,
question. Oh,
tell us
even
why behind
I,
Funerals and
even
Firecrackers.
even I personally, I like the title. I do because I feel like it captures the book perfectly. So the name funerals. If you read the story, there's going to be a lot of funerals. Not exactly in how you probably expect it, but a lot of things are going to be happening. So yeah, a lot of funerals. And the firecracker aspect is just the fact that they are just climaxes in each of the stories that you will not expect. So it's just like each story just gives you a wow. And a wow we can say is quite close to firecrackers. Like it's just wow. So yeah, funerals and firecrackers. They come together to make this lovely short story collection. So yeah, thank you so much for loving the name. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you for that explanation. And I must say, like I said earlier, I have a lot of connection with today's stories. in particular, this Funerals and Firecrackers, I could relate with some of the feelings the main character had initially.
Mhm.
There are some things that or maybe it doesn't, like naturally it doesn't make sense, but you don't know
Yeah.
how to not still keep it and all of that. So yeah,
And,
thank you.
and
Thank you
like,
in that. Yeah, so thank you in that. So my question to the director now, I was asking, what was the experience like publishing this collection? What was the experience? What made what brought about that decision to be, oh, let's publish this set of titles? So I'd just like to get a bit more perspective from that angle before we call it a night. So sir, you have the floor, sir.
Okay, thank you very much for the question. So I don't know, there are several aspects to answering that question, but then I'll just quickly brush through it. So I would say that my experience with publishing it, before I speak about the experience with publishing it, I'll first speak about the my experience with working with the author, right? So last year, Witsprouts put out a collection of short stories, an anthology, and it happened that Aishat is the youngest contributor to that book, and it is so beautiful to see someone so young putting out such a beautiful piece of work, right? So when I heard that she has a complete collection of short stories, it was very beautiful to actually. It's inspiring because um, it is not impossible, but it is not very usual, right? It's not very usual for you know um, in music we have youngsters putting out work. We have very very young people putting out works. But then in literature, I think we have people out. We have like not old people, but older people. We don't have a lot of young people putting out, especially complete works like books. Maybe they'll send out their works to magazines, get published here and there, but before they will now start getting published, like having a full-fledged book out, usually later on, like at least maybe mid 20s or early 20s. Well, it's beautiful that someone that is um in their late teen putting out a collection. And I think this will now bring me into publishing. The publishing, we have not really done most of the job in the publishing, right? We've only put out the work out there, but we've not started the publishing part, which is actually getting the book out in front of a lot of people, is what which is where the experience really lies. We need more people to know about this. We need more people to like read this beautiful collection, right? So this is why we have everyone here. It's beautiful to see everyone's participation in this. But then beyond this, I want you all to get a copy. Um, it will be out by this coming week. It will be out across bookstores in Nigeria, starting from Roving Heights and the like. So try to get it and then tell your friends about it, right? And you really enjoy it. You really enjoy it. It's something unusual. It's an unusual collection. It's a the collection that will surprise you. It will it will shock you. It will shock you, and sometimes it will make you cry, and sometimes you'll be elated, reading through it. So it will come with a roller coaster of emotions, right? And I just want to say that you enjoy it. And yeah, so I think I can keep talking on and on about the process of publishing, but I think it would be nice to just say um, the publishing process is not complete without everyone enjoying this book. So please get a copy of this book, tell people about it, and once you read it, write reviews of it on your blogs, write about it on your social media platforms. Don't keep quiet about the book. Support a new author, right? There's no
Thank
way,
you.
exactly, there's no way to support a new author other than talking about the book. Talk about the
Mhm,
book at every
mhm.
opportunity, right? So please let's do that, and let's make Aishat Adesanya a household name in African literature. So,
Thank you.
thank you very much.
Thank you.